the marketing environment, the microenvironment, and the macroenvironment. Each of them has 6 forces, 6 actors that we analyze in this video. If you want to learn more about it, keep watching this video. The main objective of a company is to make profits. In order to do that, a company needs to know the problem the consumer has. Every consumer has a problem, a need, want, or a demand that a company decides to serve, to address with their products or services. And this is called that the products and the services the company offers is represented at creating consumer value, right? So the company satisfies the problem or the need the consumer has. It wins them over as a customer because the person bought the product, and now the company obtains value from customers in return, so makes profit, the money that the customer paid for the product. In order to develop these efficient marketing strategies, every company needs to realize that they work in what is called a marketing environment. So remember that the companies need to operate in an environment and create relationships with the customers. First of all, to create relationships with the consumers, and once the consumers have bought from the company, they become customers. And companies want to build and maintain these relationships. And these two environments, the micro and the macro environments, represent the factors that influence the ability of the company to do exactly that. From actors such as suppliers, intermediaries, customers, competitors, and publics, and up to major environmental forces such as demographic, economic, natural, technological, political, and cultural. All these factors and actors, when they are understood correctly, can represent opportunities and possibilities for companies to grow and develop themselves even more. There is only one condition: the company should be aware of them when creating their marketing strategies. Let's see an official definition of the marketing environment. The marketing environment is all the actors and forces outside marketing that affect marketing management's ability to build and maintain successful relationships with target customers. Out of the entire company, the person that should be more up to date with the technology and everything that happens in the world are the marketeers. And it is their responsibility to gather, collect, and analyze this kind of data and this kind of trends, to be able to follow them and to track them, to be able to transpose them into opportunities for the companies to make more products, or actually to make more profits by serving the customers. This is an at-length video. It will be quite long because it includes both the microenvironment and the macroenvironment in the same video. If you want to watch them separated, I've created separate videos about the micro and the macroenvironment. You can watch them right here or check the links down in the description of the video. First, I will start explaining the microenvironment. It is the company microenvironments consist of actors close to the company that combine to form its value delivery network, or that affect its ability to serve its customers. It includes the company's internal environments, its several departments and management levels, and it influences the marketing decision making. The marketing channel firms, suppliers, marketing intermediaries, physical distribution firms, marketing services agencies, and financial intermediaries cooperate to create customer value. The microenvironment includes all the actors that are close to the company that can influence, in a positive or in a negative way, the ability of the company to create value for customers and establish relationships with them. Before starting this video, we need to understand one thing that is very important. Every company on this planet acts, behaves, and works in what we call an environment. This environment is represented by forces and actors that influence the ability of the company to interact with the consumers, so to establish relationships with them, with what we call the targeted customer. And marketing is all about that. Marketing is all about identifying the need, the want, the demand, the problem of the consumer, and coming up with a product or a service that would satisfy that need, that would solve that problem. So when the consumer buys the product of the company, he becomes a customer. So that customers pay the money, that is the profit the company makes, and in marketing we call that capturing value back from customers, right? Because in the first phase, you create the value, so you create the product for the customers, and in the second phase you get the money, so you capture value back. Well, when companies do that, when they establish relationships with the consumers to transform them into customers, they work in what we call a marketing environment. The marketing environment has two types. There is the macro environment and there is the microenvironment. And I've created a video, separated video for each one of these environments. You can check the links down in the description. In this video, we talk about the microenvironment. If you'd like to see the entire video that has both of the environments, check the link down in the description. So since we talk about the microenvironment in this video, let's see the definition of it. The microenvironment are all the actors close to the company that affect its ability to serve its customers. So there is the company, suppliers, marketing intermediaries, customer markets, competitors, and public. As you know, marketing is a very visual field, so I will bring up on the screen a model that you can see all the factors and all the actors influencing the microenvironment. In the marketing process, there are all these actors that can influence the company. We included the company in the scheme because the company represents the marketeers must work together with all the other departments of the company to create customer value and relationships. They must understand the customer's needs to be able to create value to satisfy those needs. The suppliers, they have a role in creating value for customers because the marketeers must partner up with them for obtaining the value and to create the delivery network. The marketing intermediaries are the resellers, the physical distributors, and the financial intermediaries. The publics are the financial institutions, media, government, citizens, the local publics and general publics as well as internal publics. And finally, the customers are the most important actors in the scheme. They are the aim marketing looks at because the entire value of the delivery system is to serve the targeted customers and to create strong relationships with them. So just by looking at this model, we can understand that there are all these actors that influence the ability of the company to do its marketing job. Well, we discussed about identifying the need, the want, the demand of the consumers and targeting and segmenting them. This means that after you identify the need, the want, the demand of the consumer that you want to target, he will become your targeted market. About that, you can watch a video, it's right here, or check it in the links in the description about segmentation and how to choose your customer and targeted customers. Going on, companies said, okay, we identified the customers we want to target. We identified their need, their want, their demands, their problems. We have the product, we have the service that can solve that need or solve that problem. What do we do next? Because the microenvironment says the following thing: hey, there are all these people, there are all these groups of people that can influence our job. They can influence if we can do or not our job well. And these groups who can influence the company and its ability to serve the customers are the company, the suppliers, the marketing intermediaries, the customer market, competitors, and publics. These compose the microenvironment. So now that you have a clear image about what the microenvironment is, that you know that there are all these actors that influence the company and its ability to target, well, to achieve the relationship they want with the customers, we will discuss each individual actor. The first one that we look at is the company, because the company has to make plans. They need to design marketing plans and strategies as well. The company wants to make profits. Remember, for companies, it is always about profits and it wants to earn money. So in order to do that, all the departments within a company, they need to work together, from sales, from the legal department, from marketing, from manufacturing. Every department has to be aligned with each other and to work towards the same direction. The groups within a company are top management, finance, research and development, purchasing, operations, human resources, and accounting. Top management sets the company's mission, objectives, broad strategies, and policies. If you really want to understand what it means that a company sets the mission, we talk about the mission statement of the company, about the vision statement of the company, how to set objectives and strategies. You can watch the video right here I've created for you. It is a separated video about this topic. Check the link down in the description as well. Going on, marketing managers must work with all the other departments of a company. It takes the lead to ensure that all the departments, from manufacturing to legal and accounting, share the responsibility of understanding customers' needs and create customer value. In other words, the management, the top management of the company sets the mission, objectives, and strategies. They say, we want to achieve this and this is how we want to achieve it. And then the marketing takes the lead of all the other departments to ensure that they work together to obtain that mission, to make it possible and to make it achievable. The second actor we look at are the suppliers. And the suppliers are probably one of the most important actors in the microenvironment of the company, because remember what the microenvironment is, right? All the actors that can influence the ability of the company to establish relationships with the customers. Well, if you don't have the supplies, if you don't have the resources to manufacture your products, you cannot deliver value to your customers, right? So the suppliers are really, really important, and most of the companies, they need to create strong bonds with their suppliers, because together they create what is called a value delivery network. The suppliers are one of the most important links in a value delivery network. They provide resources that are needed to produce the goods and services. Going on, the marketing intermediaries are all the companies that help the company to promote, sell, and distribute its goods to final buyers. They include resellers, physical distribution firms, marketing services, agencies, and financial intermediaries. Just like the suppliers, the marketing intermediaries are very important to a company, because they look at the overall value, right? The customer looks at the overall value of the product that he bought, and the company is responsible to ensure that the entire chain has a good quality. So it has to optimize the performance from the products to its delivery to create the best customer value. What we look at are the competitors. I guess that you can probably imagine why the competitors are important for a company when it comes to its ability to serve customers. However, in order for a company to be successful, it must provide greater customer value and satisfaction than its competitors. Marketeers must do more than just simply adapt to the needs of the target customers. They need to gain strategic advantage by positioning higher offerings strongly against their competitors. The next factor we look at are the publics. A public is any group that has an actual or potential interest in the impact of an organization's ability to achieve its objectives. And there are 7 types of publics. There are the financial publics. They can influence the company's ability to obtain funds. For example, banks, investment analysts, shareholders, and the major financial publics. The media publics, this group carries news, features, editorial opinions, and other content. It includes television statements, newspapers, magazines, and blogs, and other social media. Government publics. The management must take government development into account. Marketeers must often consult the company's lawyers on issues of product safety and other matters. The citizen action publics. A company's marketing decision may be questioned by consumer organizations, environmental groups, minority groups, and other. Its public relations department can help it to stay in touch with the consumer and citizen groups. The local publics. This group includes the neighborhood residents and the community organizations. The general public. A company needs to be concerned about the general public's attitude towards its products and activities. The public's image of the company affects its buying behavior. If you would like to learn more about the company image, reputation, and identity, I've created a separate video that you can watch right here or in the links down in the description. And finally, the last group, internal publics. This group includes workers, managers, volunteers, and the board of directors. When employees feel good about the company they work for, this positive attitude spills over the external public. And finally, we discuss about the customers. For sure, the most important actor in the microenvironment. The aim of the entire value delivery network is to engage target customers and create strong relationships with them. There are 5 types of customer markets. Consumer markets consist of individual and households that buy goods and services for personal consumption. Business markets, they buy goods and services for further processing or use in their production processes. Reseller markets buy goods and services to resell at a profit. Government markets consist of government agencies that buy goods and services to produce public services or to transfer the goods and services to others who need them. And finally, international markets consist of these buyers in other countries, including consumers, producers, resellers, and governments. Each market type has a special characteristics that call for careful study by the seller. The customers were the last actor of the microenvironment. Now that you understood clearly what the microenvironment is and all the forces, we will go on and look at the macro environment and the forces it has. The macro environment consists of larger societal forces that affect the entire microenvironment. The six forces making up the company's macroenvironment are demographic, economic, natural, technological, political and social, and the cultural forces. These forces shape opportunities and pose threats to the company. As you can observe, the macro environment video is quite long. There is a good piece of the video remaining for you to watch. Remember that if you want to watch each individual power, each individual force of the macro environment, I've created a separate video for that. Check the links in the description to see each of one of them individually. The company can be influenced by actors operating in a larger macro environment of forces that shape opportunities and pose threats to the company. The macroenvironment consists of broader forces that affect the actors in the microenvironment. Because marketing is a very visual field, we already have a model with all the forces that represent the macroenvironment. The demographic environment is the first force of the macroenvironment that we analyze. Before looking in depth at it, let's see its definition. Demography is the study of human populations in terms of size, density, location, age, gender, race, occupation, and other statistics. The population of the world is growing at an explosive rate. Well, the more citizens, the bigger the population, the bigger the diversity of the population, and this brings both opportunities and threats for any company. The marketeers study the demographic trends in development of the markets. Well, they analyze the changes in age, family structure, educational characteristics, and population diversity. When changes in the demographics occur, it means that there are also changes in markets that happen, therefore the interest of the marketeers. The demographic environment is important for the marketeers because it involves people, and people make up the markets to which the companies want to sell. The most important demographic trends in the United States are the changing age structure of the population, the changing structure of the family, graphic shifts in population, and increasing density. The structure of the video is that we will look independently at each trend in the demographic environment, and only after we did that we will move on at the next force of the macro environment. It is estimated that by 2030 the population of the United States may reach 360 million people. The most important trend in the United States at the moment is the changing age structure of the population. Because of the falling birth rates and longer life expectancies, the US population is getting older. In 1980, the median age was 23. By 2050, it is estimated to be 38. The aging of the population will have a significant impact of markets and those who service them. Because it is so big in the population of the United States, we can identify 4 different groups or 4 different types of population, and marketeers name them after that: the baby boomers, Generation X, the millennials, and Generation Z. The baby boomers. There are 78 million baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964 during the years following World War II and lasting until 1964. In 2023, they are between 59 and 77 years old. The youngest boomers are now in their 50s, and the oldest are now in their late 60s. Today's baby boomers are about 35% of the population, but control about 70% of nations' disposable income. The Generation X. There are 49 million people that were born between 1965 and 1976. In 2023, they are between 47 and 57 years old. They lie in the shadow of the boomers, and they are an overlooked consumer group. They seek quality over quantity and price experiences. They research products before purchasing and are less receptive to marketing pitches. They also display the lifestyles, the culture and the values of the baby boomers, and many of them are homeowners with growing families, being a prime segment for home and hearth marketeers. The Generation Y, known as the millennials. There are 83 million millennials, baby boomers born between 1977 and 2000. In 2023, they are between 23 and 46 years old. They are the most financially strapped generation, most of them having near empty pockets. Because of their huge number, they make up a huge and attractive market now and in the future as well. Because they grew up embracing technology, they engage with brands in a new way, shaping their own brand experiences. The Generation Z are the kids 8 to 12 years old, and they count for about 20 million people born after 2000. Some analysts include people born after 1995 as well, and they make up the kids, tweens and teens markets. In 2023 they are 20 to 28 years old. They spend approximately $43 billion annually of their own money and influence another $200 billion of their parents' spending. Gen Zers blend the online and offline world seamlessly as they socialize and shop. Out of those who shop online, more than half prefer shopping online for electronics, books, music, beauty products and accessories. You may wonder why it is important for you or for the marketeers to know this kind of information. Well, for example, one of the most important questions that the marketeers are asking right now is if they have to make products and services specifically shaped and designed for each age category. Because as you know, every generation has its needs, and now the marketeers, what they actually did is to split these age categories into smaller groups and more age-specific segments, because they want to have a precise targeting of the customers. And they finally realized that age is just a number and it's not necessarily that important for marketing as their lifestyle, life stage and common values. The second trend we look at in the population of the United States in the demographic environment are the changes, the constant changes in the structure of the American family. I find it important to mention that in this video we only talk raw data, so we only talk what marketeers think about, what they analyze, and it's not about any opinions, values and whatsoever. This is just data analyzed by marketeers. The traditional American household is represented by the image of a husband, wife, children and sometimes grandparents. The historical 2 children, 2 cars family has lately been losing its luster. In the United States, married couples with children represent only 19% of the nation's 122 million household, which is less than half that of the 1970. Married couples without children represent 28%. Single parents are another 18%, and non-family households or living singles adults represent 34%. Because we also have to consider the new families that never consider having children, or the families that consider late marriage and maybe the idea of having children. Also, the number of same-sex couples raising children has increased 75% since the year 2000. The number of working women has also increased from under 40% in 1950 to 58% today. In 40% of the American households, the women are the primary breadwinners. Third important trend that we look at are the geographic shifts of the population. 12% of US residents move each year and 35% move every 5 years. People migrate between and within countries. The West and South, for example, have grown, whereas the Midwest and Northeast states have lost population. Well, you may also wonder why it is important for marketeers and why should people know where everybody moves. Well, I will give you an example. In the Midwest, for example, there are other temperatures, so people will buy more winter clothing than people in the Southeast, for example, right? So as a company, you want to know this kind of fluctuations because you want to better advertise and to know what kind of products you need to advertise and sell in every geographic area. In fact, there is a trend of people moving to what is called micropolitan areas, so smaller cities located beyond metropolitan areas, examples such as Montana, Michigan or Mississippi. Smaller micros offer many of the advantages of metro areas such as jobs, restaurants, diversions and community organizations, but without the population crush, the traffic jams, the high crime rates and highly property taxes. More than 10% of the US population resides now in a micropolitan area. You can also imagine that changing the location where people live has also influenced the changes in locations where people work, because now we have such a called trend SOHO, so that is small office, home office, and it is especially exploded after the pandemic, as you can imagine. Well, as a marketeer, you can imagine the explosion in sales for home office products, from furniture to electronics, computers and all that. Everything that goes into a home office just exploded in 3 years. And one last important trend in the population of the United States is the increased diversity. And when I say diversity, I mean all kinds of diversity. United States population is about 64% white, Hispanics are about 17%, and African Americans are just over 13%. Also, US Asian American population counts for about 5%. And you need to understand that we talk about wider diversity, so not just about race or culture, we also talk about sexual orientation, and because companies take the LGBTQ community into account, also the community of the disabled people, and let's see why. Also, you may have seen the news, you know, so many companies supporting LGBTQ+. Think about it now, is it real support for the values of these people, or is there an interest knowing that the LGBTQ has a buying power of more than $830 billion annually? Do companies really support Paralympic athletes because they are empathetic with these people, or do they know that their buying power is between $200 and $500 billion a year? To make it clear, I'm not saying that companies do not align with these values, that they do not support these values. I'm just asking, is it truly genuine as a marketeer, as a company, to align with these values because you feel like it? Or is it also something subjectively when you know that there are hundreds of millions, hundreds of billion dollars in these markets that your company can take a share of? I'm just asking. Alright, so far we know that the macro environment is composed of 6 forces, and we talked about the first one, the demographic environment. And so far we talked about the first force, the demographic environment. Regarding this environment, we looked at the most important trends that take place in the environment, and they are important to be known as marketeers have them under the magnifying glass. I know that this video may get quite long because each trend of each market force is important, and this is why I've split these videos. I've created smaller videos about every force of the macro environment. If you'd like to see them separately, you can watch it here or check every video in the link down below in the description. As a summary, demography is the study of the characteristics of human population. Today's demographic environments show a change in age structure, shifting family profiles, geographic population shifts, a better educated and more white-collar population, and increasing diversity. The economic environment is the second force of the macro environment of marketing that we analyze. In order to understand it better, let's see the definition of it. The economic environment consists of factors that affect buying power and patterns. The economic environment is characterized by more frugal consumers who are seeking greater value, the combination of good quality and service at a fair price. So what this actually means is that marketeers also pay attention to how people spend and how they earn their money. And this is why, because they want to know what you can afford, how much you earn, and how much you actually spend from what you earn, because they can target their products better for your budget. You already know that income and wealth comes in stages, so the marketeers identified them on 3 levels. Some countries have industrial economies which constitute rich markets for many different kinds of goods. In between, there are developing economies that can offer outstanding marketing opportunities for the right kinds of products. And in the lower extreme, there are the subsistence economies, where people consume most of their own agricultural industrial output and offer few market opportunities. Unfortunately, we have to realize that marketing is not necessarily about being empathetic with the people and supporting them and supporting their values. Marketing is a department within a company, and the company wants to make profits. So in order to do that, the company needs to sell, and they need to know what people can afford and what people used to buy, because they want, that is true, they want to solve the need of the customers, they want to solve the problem you have, but solve it with their product. And obviously you can imagine that the more money people have, the better the opportunities and possibilities. Well, if you go in a rural area where people eat what they grow in their own gardens, obviously it won't be very profitable to open a flea market right there, right? So it is also a considerant that is taken into account by entrepreneurs because they want to be profitable and not open any business anywhere without the need of it. In the same time, let me give you an example. David Neilman, who is the founder and former CEO of JetBlue Airways, is a native Brazilian. You may know or not, but Brazil is not really a top country for searching the rich. However, in the past decades, its economy grew and Brazil has a middle class of more than 100 million people. So what this guy did is to open an airways company to offer cheap flights named Azul Brazilian Airways. You may think that this idea is crazy, and I think that indeed it is, because offering flights at a cheap cost, he already had the model from JetBlue, right? And what he did is to allow people with low credit or no credit at all to buy the tickets, and one more thing, they could buy it in installments. Imagine that in Brazil, for that segment of area, it took 34 hours to go by bus from location A to location B, and with his airline service, you could get to your destination in 2 hours. And this is how this company got to be the third airway company in Brazil. And it's not always about the price to make a profit, it's also about how many services, the quantity of the products you sell to make the profit. So when we talk about the economic environment, we also look at two trends: the changes in consumer spending and the income distribution. The first trend looks at how people spend their money. Until 2008, the Great Recession, Americans used to spend their money freely because those economic times were fueled by income growth, a boom in the stock market, and significant increase in housing values. After 2009, people are buying less and looking for greater value in the things they buy. So they went back to adopting a back-to-basic sensibility in their spending patterns. So what marketeers right now have to do is to find the perfect combination of a fair price for a fair, good quality product. Paying attention to income distribution, over the last decades, rich have grown richer and the middle class has shrunk. The poor remained poor. The top 5% of Americans earners get over 22% of the country's gross income, and the top 20% earners capture 51% of all the income, and the top bottom 40% get just 11.5%. And don't think it's dramatical because, well, you know that many companies target the affluent, right? Selling the premium, the expensive products. But many companies target the middle class and the lower class income of population, because think about it, the dollar stores markets are now the biggest and the fastest growing trend in the United States. Ford, for example, is a company that tailors their marketing offers across a range of markets, from the affluent to the less affluent. They sell Ford Fiesta for $14,000, and they also have the Lincoln Navigator SUV that costs $56,000. Because the changes in income, the buying power, and also in the cost of living is changing and they affect the markets, marketeers need to look at this data and analyze it constantly, and they do that to what is called economic forecasting. The natural environment is the third force of the macro environment we analyze. In order to understand it better, let's see the definition of it. The natural environments involve the physical environment and the natural resources that are needed as inputs by marketeers or that are affected by marketing activities. The natural environment shows three major trends: shortages of certain raw materials, higher pollution levels, and more government intervention in natural resources management. Environmental concerns create marketing opportunities for alert companies. And now it would be a legit question: why do marketeers care about the environment, and more actually the natural environment, and why they do think about it as a force that influences the company? Well, think about it. To produce their products or their service, they need raw materials, and that is in depletion. Another thing is that severe weather condition creates new demands. Also, think about the natural disasters and how many products you can sell in those cases. Winter clothing, snow tires, all companies create marketing strategies depending on the weather and on the nature. As mentioned, there are three important trends in the natural environment we look at. Although water and air may seem infinite resources, air pollution is a problem in many world's largest cities, as well as the water shortages. The renewable resources such as the forests and food also have to be used wisely. Also, non-renewable resources such as oil, coal, and various minerals represent a serious issue. The second environmental trend is the increased pollution. The industry will almost always damage the quality of the natural environment. Just consider and think about the disposals of chemicals and nuclear waste. The mercury in the oceans is at a dangerous level. The quantity of chemical pollutants in the soil and food supply and the littering of the environment are serious issues to be taken care of. And finally, the last trend we look at in the natural environment is the increased government intervention in natural resources management. The governments of different countries vary in their concern and efforts to promote a clean environment. For example, the German government vigorously pursues environmental quality. In poorer nations, governments do little about pollution. Sometimes even richer nations lack the funds and, more importantly than funds, the political accord and interest to mount a worldwide environmental effort. Naturally, every company that presents interest and that presents their support and help for the nature and for the natural environment is seen as a good citizen, and this is what these companies want as well. But in the same time, they also track these natural trends and the trends in the nature to know how and where they can sell, and also they need to know how much they need to prepare for the future, how many resources are there available for the raw materials they need for production. Environmental sustainability means meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. It represents developing strategies and practices that create a world economy that the planet can support indefinitely. Many companies are nowadays responding to this need of consumer demands with more environmentally friendly products. And they understood that what is good for the customer is also good for the business. Therefore, more and more companies make environmental sustainability a part of their core mission. The technological environment is the fourth force of the macro environment we look at and analyze, and in order to understand it better, let's see the definition of it. The technological environment is perhaps the most dramatic force now shaping our environment. The technological environment represents forces that create new technologies, creating new products, and new market opportunities. We have to admit that nowadays technology created wonders, from robots performing surgeries, from antibiotics, up to electronics, smartphones, and the internet itself. New technologies create new opportunities. Just a few years ago, this was just a dream. It was not ever possible to pay for your groceries with your phone or with your bracelet, but the marketeers understood that there is a need for this kind of products, and because of the advancements and the development of the technology, such a product was possible to be created. The technological environment creates both opportunities and challenges. Companies that fail to keep up with the technological change will miss out on a new product and marketing opportunity. Although technologies create new markets and new opportunities for companies to make profits, we always need to remember that the technology will replace an older technology. For example, digital photography replaced the film business. The digital downloads and streaming are hurting the CD and DVD business. And always, every time a company ignores the new technology and population will ignore the company. They will stay in the past. One important trend in the technological environment is the concern about the safety, because the more complex products and technologies become, well, the public needs to know that using these products is safe. And this is why nowadays we have government agencies that are concerned about the safety of the data of the consumer and also about the safety of the consumer itself. They are banning unsafe products, and there are many agencies such as the CPSC, Consumer Product Safety Commission, that establish standards for consumer products and penalizes companies that fail to meet them. And this is why marketeers need to be aware of these regulations. They need to conform with these regulations and follow the rules that this kind of committees establish. The political and social environment is the fifth force of the macro environments that we look at. Before looking at it in depth, let's see the definition of it to understand it better. The political environment consists of laws, government agencies, and pressure groups that influence or limit marketing actions of the various organizations in a society. The political environment has undergone changes that affect marketing worldwide: increasing legislation regulating business, strong government agency enforcement, and greater emphasis on ethics and socially responsible actions. The developments in the political environment are very important for the marketing decisions, and we need to look at two major trends that happen in this environment, and they are: the political aspect involves the legislation regulating businesses, while the social aspects involves the increased emphasis on the ethics and sociable responsible actions. Looking at the legislation regulating businesses, it is important to know that many companies, they will always claim that they want free markets, and that they will also want and support the government taking legislation and regulations to their business, because it is important to protect competition, right? Well, in reality, we all know that companies would smash other companies and make all competition disappear, but this is actually the goal of these regulations. It is to encourage competition and to ensure a fair market for both companies and customers. Through public policy, the governments try to set laws and regulations that limit businesses for the good of society as a whole. Almost every marketing activity is subject to a wide range of laws and regulations. There are major legislation in the United States that affect marketing. Many laws cover issues such as competition, fair trade practices, environmental protection, product safety, truth in advertising, consumer privacy, packaging and labeling, pricing, and other important areas. And there are three main important reasons why the government established this kind of regulations. The reasons are to protect companies from each other, to protect consumers from unfair business practices, and to protect the interests of the society. Although business managers will always praise competition, in reality, most of the times they try to neutralize it when it's threatening. Therefore, it is important to protect companies from each other. As you may know from the previous video I've created, you can watch it here, after the Industrial Revolution, many industrial companies had a huge advantage and developed practices such as misleading and deceiving consumers through advertising, packaging, and pricing. Therefore, the need to protect the consumers. And finally, we all know that the development of all these companies comes at a price. They will always hurt the environment or the society. There is always a hard price to pay for these developments, and therefore the need to create legislation to protect the interest of society by forcing companies to take responsibility for their social costs of their production or products. And the second cause is the increased emphasis on ethics and socially responsible actions. And this trend actually developed because most of the times the rules and the laws we have at the moment are sometimes very hard to enforce, and many times the marketeers also got used to them and they know how to abuse them. Socially responsible behavior are the companies encouraged to their managers to look beyond what the regulatory system allows and simply do the right things. Because these issues usually involve conflicting interests, many companies develop policies, guidelines, and any other responsibility to complex social responsibility issues. Cause-related marketing to exercise their social responsibility and build more positive image, many companies link their image to worthwhile causes. T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, all of them joined this kind of trend that were worthwhile. For example, it is the trend "it can wait", and that was referring to texting and driving, actually to not texting and driving, meaning that the message, the texting, can wait. Another recent trend that became very popular for companies is the so-called corporate giving. So companies linking purchases of the company's products, of course, and services with the benefiting worthwhile charitable organizations. So they are giving for charity out of their own products, which they buy from their own company. The cultural environment is the sixth macro force of the macroenvironment that we analyze, and before going in depth about it, let's see the definition of it. The cultural environment consists of preferences and behaviors. The environment shows trends towards new technology-enabled communication, a lessening trust of institutions, increasing patriotism, greater appreciation for nature, a changing in spiritualism, and the search for more meaningful and enduring vibes. This factor refers to how consumers consume, so what they think, what values they hold, and how they spend their money, because this is why marketeers are so interested in the cultural environment. Every person has values and beliefs about what is good, what is bad, what is useful, what is not useful, and depending on those filters, they do purchases. And marketeers want to know them and maybe modify them so you can buy from their company more. Remember that the marketing process is always about creating superior value for the customer in order to be able to capture the value back from customers. The cultural environment consists of institutions and other forces that affect a society's basic values, perceptions, preferences, and behaviors. People in a society hold many beliefs and values. They have core beliefs and values that have a high degree of persistence. I will give you an example. In a traditional culture, you will always have a very high importance of the value of freedom. People will always value hard work, getting married, and success, because these beliefs and values work in such a way that they influence the states and the behaviors of the people. Core beliefs and values are passed on from parents to children and reinforced by schools, businesses, religious institutions, and governments. Secondary beliefs and values are open to change. For example, believing in marriage. Most of the time, this is an example of a core belief. However, believing that you have to marry early in life is a secondary belief because you can change it. And finally, this is actually what the marketeers and the companies want. They want that through advertising and creating a company culture, they hope that they can change the secondary values you have to influence your purchasing behavior. And of course, there are just some changes that can happen in the secondary values of the culture, and these changes can happen only in the following instances. People's views of themselves refer to people varying in their emphasis on serving themselves or offering services to others. Some people seek personal pleasure and others seek self-realization through religion, recreation, or pursuit of careers or other life goals. You may have heard of concepts such as givers and takers, or joiners and sharers. Well, you have to know that this self-representation influences the way people use the products, the brands, the services, and it's also a mean of self-expression because people buy products to express how they feel and how they think. People's views of others refers to the people's attitudes towards and interactions with others shifts over time. A very popular concern of the marketeers, and not only, is the way we interact and communicate right now in the era of the internet, because this has shifted our concern of meeting face to face to talking in the era of internet, so by socializing apps, which is always influencing the values and the beliefs you have about interactions with other people. And to see the consequences of that, companies nowadays have to be on social media because they know that there is where the consumers and the future customers are, so they need to create and transpose their cultural values to the era of internet, to the social media page, and have a following to share the values with. People's views of organizations. People vary in their attitudes towards corporations, agencies, trade unions, universities, and other organizations. People are willing to work for major organizations and expect them in return to carry out society's work. Do you remember 2008-2009 when the bankers and the Wall Street bankers' greed and incompetence caused a huge recession worldwide? Well, you can imagine that the trust of the population in companies decreased a lot from that point. Another fact that changed is the belief of working to live or living to work. And because of this change, the organizations need to find new ways to attract employees and customers to their companies to gain their trust and their money as well. This was everything for this video. I hope you understood what the marketing environment is, what the microenvironment is, and what the macroenvironment is, their individual forces and actors, and remember that together they compose the big entire total environment the marketing works in. And if you want to watch them separate, there are links in the description below of separated videos. One more thing, if you have your own company or are an entrepreneur that wants to create its marketing strategy, the communication strategy, and overall a business plan for your company, check the links down in the description. I've created a manual that will help you step by step with all the information, guidance, and instructions that you need to create a personalized marketing communication strategy for your company, and overall you will have a quality business plan that you can use to guide your company. There is a manual and a notebook as well. First you read the information and then you follow the step-by-step instructions. So in the end, the notebook becomes your very own personal business plan for the company. It is personalized, it works for any company, and you just need to go through the instructions. You have videos supporting you, and all that you have to do is to check the links down in the description. Also, another way you may thank me for creating these videos is by buying me a coffee. I run on a lot of coffee to create these videos. First of all, to do the research for the information, then to film, to edit the videos, and to post them for you to watch for free. So if you feel like you can buy me a coffee, I would highly appreciate it. Another way is, of course, to hit the like button, to subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down in the comment section of this video, because you know how YouTube is nowadays. If there is no engagement, there is no promotion. So if this video helped you, I would highly appreciate your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.